Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I think we all know each other, so we can dispense with the, unless you want to reaffirm who you are, we can go ahead with our service. Thanks for joining us. Matovu 74. Page 76. Howard, would you read for us, please? Thank you, sir.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wonders.
78.
I pray for the soul. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Zehorahi. Elohai, Elohai,
83. As I awaken, let this be my thought. May my day be filled with acts of loving kindness. Let me be drawn to learning and discernment, and may my actions be shaped by mitzvot. Keep me from iniquity, disgrace, and sin. May I not be overwhelmed by temptation or despair. Distance me from evil people and false friends. Let me cultivate a life of goodness. May my hands reach out in kindness, and I will serve God through acts of righteousness. Today and every day may I merit your mercy by living my faith with compassion and love. Holy One of blessing, draw me to your words. Teach me the art of sacred living. Baruch atah Adonai, malamed chasadim tovim la'amo Yisrael. 97.
Ashrei.
Ashrei, 97.
So there's this word in Ashrei, od, which means more, right?
Yep, usually. Or still. More or still. Huh?
Another, he said.
It could mean that too. Yeah, yeah. Od pam another time, like noch einmal in German, right?
One more time.
Yeah, one more time. It has all of it's addition, though. Like Leolam Va'ed, which is the same word. Leolam in that context means forever
yeah.
into infinity and beyond. It's Buzz Lightyear.
I'm gonna remember that for the king.
Yes, it is. I mean, that's where I don't know who wrote the Buzz Lightyear thing, but to infinity beyond is Leolam Va'ed.
So the reason why I bring up od in Ashrei, if you're looking on page 97, is this od Yehalelu Chasela, right? This more, or another, or the stillness in the hallelujah, in the happiness, in the praise of God. Ashrei Yoshrei Beitecha. Here comes. Od Yehallelucha. Od Yehallelucha. So we sink into that ode, into that stillness, into that more. Od Yehallelucha. Od Yehallelucha. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. Oh, dear hallelujah. Oh, dear hallelujah. Oh, dear hallelujah. Oh, dear hallelujah.
Page 100.
Hallelujah. 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 El Bekasho. Hallelujah. Bekira Bizo. Hallelujah. Biburato. Hallelujah. Kiroso. Hallelujah. B'tzias le'shama, hallelujah. B'tzias le'shua, kol hanshama, kol hanshama. Tehalel ya, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
We'll go right to page 110. Together in the Hebrew, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishim. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, Malah haaretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach maaseh yadecha, ve'al ma'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela, or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu mehera le'oro, Baruch Ata Adonai, Yotzer HaMa'or. On page 112, David, I think you're up. How deeply, and then the bottom paragraph. No, the top and then the bottom.
How deeply you loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears who trust led you and teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us and us as well. And merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, heed, learn, and teach, in loving words to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten your eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to your land, and dwell in it. For you, our God, work wonders. You choose us truly, and drew us near to your great name. Thus we might acknowledge you, declaring you one Lord. Praise to you, Adonai, who chooses your people, Israel. Actually, according to the Torah from which you brought us today, it was God's.
That's right. No, but lead us to our land, to our assigned land. Okay, not ours in the sense of ownership, but ours in the sense of the place where we're supposed to be. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher ba'amo Yisrael, Yahavael melech ne'eman, page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol nevavcha u'chol nafshecha u'bechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vleftecha b'derech u'shachpecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha lema'an tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kadoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, amen.
Wendy, I skipped you. Page 120, please.
Adonai sifatai titach ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומרים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד חטא, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. We're on page 132. Lee, if you would read for us on the bottom of the page.
The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages and covenant for all time. It's a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from working.
Thank you. Miriam, the top of 135, please.
We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness. For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Shabbat. And the brother Merit, top of 137, please.
Find favor under thy our God with your people Israel, and accept their prayer and love. May the worship of your people Israel always be done. God, who is made to all to call, spread love with you to your servants. Pour out his spirit.
And at the bottom of the page, if you'd finish it up, let our eyes.
Let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Blessed are you on high. Your presence returns to us.
137. I'm sorry, 138. My apologies. Modim anachnu lach she'tahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai our God and God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, let us forever put our hope in you. V'yal kulam yitbarach v'yitromam shmecha malkenu tamid leolam va'ed. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lahodot. Sim Shalom is on page 140. Now we have a
Rabbi,
What?
I really like the prayer on the top of 140.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then you keep going.
All right. So Janet will make a note of that, and we will be glad to include it. 140.
Sim shalom tova ubracha, sim shalom tova ubracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom tova ubracha, sim shalom tova ubracha.
now continue with our service to reading the Torah. And we now have a minyan, so we will do the Torah service Karagil.
Please rise, page 244 in your prayer books. Ein kmocha va'Elohim Adonai
Vein k'maasecha
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim Umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz la'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Udvar Adonai miYerushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadu Adonai Iti V'naram Nama Shemo Yachad Lecha Adonai Hagidula Ve'Hagimura Ve'Hatiferet Ve'Hanetzach Ve'Hahod Ki Kol Hashamayim U'Ba'aretz Ki Kol Hashamayim U'Ba'aretz Lecha Adonai Hamamlacha Ve'hamid Nahaseh Lechol Nerod.
Please be seated. Gersh is reading first from the beginning of the Pasha, correct? The beginning to this week is a double and final portion of Leviticus for the year. The beginning of the Pasha is on page 738, Leviticus 25, page 738 in the Chumash, in the Eitz Chaim.
Ya'amon Gershon ben Manes Aliyah Harishona
Baruch Hu Adonai Barak.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Barak Lam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher B'charbanu Mikol Amim V'nasan Lanu Es Torah. So Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah. Yes. Vayidaber Adonai El Moshe Bahar Sinai Leimar Daber El Bnei Yisrael V'Armata Lehem Ki Savo El Haaretz Asher Ani Nosein Lachem V'Shavdecha Haaretz V'Shabbos L'Adonai Sheisha Shanim Tizra Sadecha V'Sheishanim Tizmar Karmecha V'Yasafta Es V'Asa V'Shana Shvi Shabbason Yeh La'aret Shabbos L'Adonai Sadecha Lo Sizra V'Charmecha Lo Sizmar Sefiakar Chalo Siktsar Vs in Va Nizirecha Lo Sivtsar Shina Shabbason Yeh La'aretz Vaisa Shabbos haaretz lachem lachla l'chol avdecha la'amasecha v'lisircha v'lishovecha hagarim imach v'liv hemtecha v'lachayal asher bi'artzecha Tiye kol tevuasa lecha v'asafta lecha shivas Shabbasan shanim sheva pamim vayulecha yemei sheva shabsos hashanim teshavi arba'im shana v'havarta Shofar teruah b'chodesh hashvi'i B'asar lachodesh b'yom ha'kippurim Ta'aviru shofar b'chol artzechem v'kidashtem Eshinas ha'chamishim shana v'karva derar B'chol ba'aretz l'chol yoshveha yovel hi tiyeh lachem v'shavtem ish al achuz asov ish el mishpachto tashuvu yovel hi shinas hachamishim shana tiyeh lachem Lo sizra'u v'lo sikartu esifcheha v'lo sivtsuru v'yes nizireha ki yovel hi kadosh tiyeh lachem min hasadeh tochlu es tevuasa b'shinas hayovel hazos Tashuvu ish al achuz asav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nosan lanu toras emes v'chai olam notah b'socheinu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. So because this is the last book, you're off. That's why. Because this is the last parsha of the book of Leviticus, we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Hazek. So in your Torah commentaries, if you'd like to follow along, it's on page 757. And we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Hazek. Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Hazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit
Yishabeach Havasin Avo Mitzchak Yaakov Hu Yivarech Esach Olim. We ask God's blessing of healing for all those who are ill. This Shabbat, we are mindful of the needs of Sue Farber, who is healing well, Deb Ford, who is doing well in rehab, Sue Graham, Stan Greenberg, Earl Hecker, Merrill Hirschland, Richard Hittow, Steve Keating, Sally Keaton, Paul Norman, Wendy Noodle, Kermit Krill, and Sienna Shapiro. Are there any other names?
All the breast cancer people.
Anybody else? HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleim Vayishlach Lem Refuah Shalema Refuas HaNefesh Refuas HaGuf Hashtav Hagalav Bizman Karev B'Yimru.
Amen.
Amen.
And we rise as we show honor to the Torah. Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, bum bum bum, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
Thank you. You may be seated. The Haftarah, and if it's okay with you, I will do what I've done the last couple of visits, which is to do the Haftarah in English and make some mention of some of the stuff that's going on. I actually kind of gave a hint at class earlier this morning. The Haftarah for Bahar B'chukotai is found beginning on page 763, 763. It is from Jeremiah. Generally, when you have a double Torah portion, you read the Haftarah for the second one. So it's like for this Parsha, Bahar B'chukotai, which are frequently combined, the Haftarah for Bahar gets a short shrift. That's not a hard and fast rule. There are variations in the tradition, and of course, as you know, there are variations between Ashkenazim and Sephardim on the Haftarah selections, as well as certain other variations for other groups of Jews. So Haftarah selections are a relatively late thing in our history, but first the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'torah u'b'moshe avedo u'b'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Adonai uzi u'ma'uzi, God is my strength and stronghold, my refuge in a day of trouble. To you nations shall come from the ends of the earth and say, our fathers inherited utter delusions, things that are futile and worthless. Can a man make gods for himself? No gods are they. Assuredly I will teach them, once and for all I will teach them my power and my might, and they shall learn that my name is the Lord. So this is very much like some of the statements that were more associated, that we think of more with Zechariah, with Zechariah. The idea, all the world shall come to serve thee and bless your glory, which is not a liberal statement. It means they'll all come and do it our way. You know, as they used to say, you'll do, you know, somebody who calls Yud Hey Vav Hey Yahweh, you tell them, you do it Yahweh and I'll do it my way. But it's not a liberal document. Thy house shall be a house of prayer for all people. Does not mean everybody's welcome. It means everybody's welcome who agrees with us. So just understand that. I don't think we have that attitude today, but that certainly was the biblical attitude. Chatat Yehudah, the guilt of Judah, is inscribed with a stylus of iron, engraved with an adamant point on the tablets of their heart and on the horns of their altars, while their children remember their altars and sacred posts by verdant trees upon lofty hills. Because of the sins of your shrines throughout your borders, I will make your rampart a heap in the field, and all your treasures a spoil. You will forfeit by your own act the inheritance that I have given you. I will make you a slave to your enemies in a land that you have never known, for you have kindled the flame of my wrath, which shall burn for all time. There are sections of Jeremiah where Jeremiah kind of surveys verbally, of course, the known world and points out the failings of each of the nations, but he also points out the failings of Judah. And so this is part of that image of Jeremiah standing out there and screaming at everybody. But here he's talking about Judah declaring its own fate, and of course the idea of exile is very much a live issue for Judah, because it is exactly at that time that the Babylonian exile is about to happen. And if it wasn't going to be Babylonia, it was going to be Egypt. So the idea of the loss of sovereignty is very much there, and of course in the biblical world, the loss of sovereignty, or whatever amounted to sovereignty in those days, is considered a God's act in response to sin. And I'd just like to read the next two short sections before we discuss. Thus said the Lord, cursed is the person who trusts in a person. Doesn't mean male, it means a person. Who makes mere flesh his strength and turns his thoughts from the Lord. He shall be like a bush in the desert, which does not sense the coming of good. It is set in the scorched places of the wilderness, a barren and uninhabited land. So we have this one. So the person who trusts in a person is going to have misfortune, and even when good things come, water, stuff like that, they will not be able to recognize it, even when good things happen. And they will wind up as if they were in a barren and inarable land. And then the phrase that we are more familiar with from the Birkat HaMazon and other places, Baruch HaGever Asher Yivtach B'Adonai. And blessed is the one who trusts in God, whose trust is in the Lord alone. That one shall be like a tree planted by waters, sending forth its roots by a stream. It does not sense the coming of heat because of the water. Its leaves are fresh. It has no care in the year of doubt. It does not cease to yield its fruit. Most devious is the heart. It is perverse. Who can fathom it? I, the Lord, probe the heart, search the mind, to repay every person according to their ways, with the proper fruit of their deeds, good or bad. Like a partridge hatching what she did not lay, so is one who amasses wealth by unjust means. In the middle of life they will leave him, and in the end he will be proven a fool. O throne of glory, exalted from of old, our sacred shrine, O hope of Israel, O Lord, all who forsake you shall be put to shame. Those in the land who turn from you shall be doomed, for they have forsaken God, the fount of living waters. Heal me, O Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved, for you are my glory. And again, we know that line as well. Rafa'eni Adonai ve'erafei, Hoshieni ve'evashea, ki tehilati ata, because you are my praise or my glory. So I'd like to direct your attention back to verses, what?
Heal us now.
Yeah. Right. Send this back to verses 5 and 7. The comparison, 5, 6, and 7, actually 5 through 8, sorry. 5 through 8 at the bottom of 764. So there's the comparison between the person who trusts in God and the person who doesn't trust in God, right? The person who trusts in other people. Trusting, as this is phrased, and I'm just lifting the language from Jerry, the trusting in other people brings ruin, trusting in God brings success. Now, of course, we know that post-biblically this idea of ultimate success or ultimate ruin gets reassigned to the afterlife. And our discussion is not about afterlife today. But what trusting in God meant to Jeremiah meant no idols, as we already saw, bringing your proper tithe, the sacrifices, whatever, and obeying the rules, both business rules as well as moral rules, right? Because Jeremiah rails against everything, cheating the stranger, cheating the poverty, whatever, and all the prophets do that. The other side, trusting in God in this context, means no idols and obeying the rules, behaving yourself, basically what it means, and no foreign worship. But I would like to spend just a couple minutes this Shabbos thinking about, discussing, what does it mean to know the rules, to trust in God today? Today. So that we know the rules. So there's a few possibilities, right? One is we can revert back to the biblical understanding. Well, we have a received text. We have a received tradition. Right? We have rules. We're going to obey them or not. And Jeremiah tells us if you don't obey them, you're in trouble. But the text that Jeremiah had was the Bible and some of his predecessors as prophets, and that's it. Post-biblically, right, the whole idea of rabbinic Judaism is that the rules are now interpreted or reinterpreted through the rabbinic tradition. That came up sort of this morning when we were talking about the release of indentured servants and how the rules have to change post-biblically once we get into a monetary economy and so forth and so on. So the rules for our ancestors 2,000 years ago would have been different than the rules for our ancestors 3,000 or 5,000 years ago. But the goal was still trusting in God and obeying the rules as opposed to trusting in mere humans or what the Catholic Church talks about, which is relative ethics, right? The idea of, two popes ago, John Paul II made a big deal out of those who believe in, have relative ethics, whatever works at the time, versus there being some absolute ethics, some things that are right or wrong, regardless of time and regardless of place. The question that I would like to raise for you this Shabbos is, okay, what does that mean for us today? In other words, if we want to trust in God, or if you want to say Jewish tradition, doesn't have to be God, all right? But for those who don't believe in God, what are you trusting in? If we want to trust in Jewish tradition, what does that mean for us as liberal Jews? Right? For whom the rabbinic tradition, the halacha is not compulsory, but advisory. We still have some biblical rules. What does it mean to trust in God today? How do we know what God is telling us to do now in our own lives, as opposed to Jerry? So I'd like to just throw that out for a little discussion. Lee, I'm glad to... Okay, right. So what Reconstruction of Judaism means, well, I'm going to let them say what they mean, but Reconstructionism says, what Mordechai Kaplan, Olav Shalom, taught, was that rather than being a process of revelation, because again, Jerry's talking about revelation, right? Rather than being a process of revelation, that the rules and the norms that we think of as Judaism are ones that developed through the civilization known as Judaism, just like rules and norms developed through any other civilization, except that Jews were a civilization that existed among other civilizations. What?
We had a base of moral tradition.
Yeah, but other...
on which you can reconstruct without losing the base.
That's correct, but the idea was that we were that, but that the civilizations of Africa, for example, that their traditions and their base, to use your terminology, was equally valid, just different, which is classical Judaism, right? Other people, even if I go back to the biblical understanding, other peoples have valid covenants with God, it's just different than ours. Miriam.
I was just thinking that this is very simplistic, but if you boil everything simplistically down, Judaism, I think most religions, boils down to basically treat other people how you would like to be treated, and the world will be a better place. And if you take that tenet historically and you bring it into how we can do that in modern times, I feel like we've risen today. So, because obviously technology now exists in biblical times, and the way that we interact with from
Right.
God for you, and so you can trust your fellow man if they.
So there's two things that you said, that, two things. I mean, of course, we have the idea of everyone being B'Tselem Elohim, being in the image of God, right? So the idea that there's God in each of us is very mainstream from Judaism, right? It's a question, what do you mean by B'Tselem? What do you mean by being in the image of God? For some, it's the soul. For some, it's, with the little spark of God in each one of them, where God's represented. All kinds of different ways to define that. But yeah, the idea that God is represented by each other. The one thing that, Miriam, that you said that I would disagree with is that if one studies Jewish business law, which a person should study, the point is not to treat others the way you want to be treated. The point is to treat others better than you want to be treated, all right? Or to put it in totally different terms, right? To put it in totally different terms, it's to recognize the sanctity, the being in the image of God, of the other person. And not only to protect your own sanctity, but to protect the sanctity of the other as well. And you have to take more care in protecting somebody else's sanctity than protecting your own. Doesn't mean you don't protect yourself, for sure you do. As one of my teachers pointed out, the idea of treat others as you want to be treated it's not Jewish. Okay? But not only is it not Jewish, but it really doesn't work. Because what do you do in the case of a masochist and a sadist? Okay? No, but the masochist. No, because as my teacher says, and this is one of my teachers who's very much with us. As my teacher says, is Leonard Kravitz, not the rock star, but teacher at HSE. As Dr. Kravitz said, the masochist says to the sadist, beat me, and the sadist says, I don't think I will. All right? So it breaks down, okay? I don't...
Like, put yourself in their shoes as opposed to treat them.
No, but we're not supposed to beat people unless we have to. Okay, I come from Brooklyn. Beatings were a regular feature of life, but the idea is, okay, it's really different. It's recognize the kedusha, the sanctity, the business of being the other person also being in the image of God, and taking care to protect them. It particularly shows up in the Jewish business law, which I'm not going to give a talk on this morning.
Research actually supports what she's saying, which is that even studies that show that when they put people and they can give lots of compliments, let them give lots of compliments, and they got more compliments in return. They did the reverse, and they get what you did.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but this is talking about going beyond just reciprocity in human relationships.
But that
But-
is too much.
Yes. But what I'm saying is Judaism is beyond.
The way to treat your children. Maybe you
Right.
take it out of the context of you and you put it in the context of your
Right.
most beloved, whoever that is. If we all treat everybody like they were the most beloved, then.
Right, okay, all right, but yeah, for me it works to talk about protecting the sanctity of the other. No, but the other question is, the question, and I don't think we're going to get to an answer this morning, is to see what is to think about, okay, what does it mean to trust in God or read God as trust in the tradition, which is what Reconstructionism is correct. What does that mean for us today? And I just want to leave you with that question, something perhaps to think about as we go forward to a couple of weeks from now receiving the Torah and trying to understand what does that revelation mean to us now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol alamin tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer va'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'nivim v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatah talanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Thank you.
Please rise as we
Good
put the
discussion.
Torah away.
Oh, you can do it. Unless you want me to do it.
I'm okay.
You're fine. You picked that thing up better than me too.
Aleinu l'shabeach ma'adon hakol ma'atit gedulah li'oseh bereshit shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chalkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'na'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz v'yom hahu v'yom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad.
Please remain standing, page 294. This week we recognize the recent passing of Tom Warrenberg, Claire Grossberg, Bert Bell, Thomas Strobel, Estelle Gladstone, and Bill Lieberman. This Shabbat we also remember the Yortzites of Rita Daniels, Philip Donnan, Max Ellenbogen, Nathan Fields, Duran H. Goldfarb, Aaron Gottlieb, Fanny Adelson Koblin, Ida LaCours, Hassela Deutsch Levy, Alex Lieberman, Malva Lustig, Solomon S. Max, Martin Marks, Grace B. Prestowski, Bessie Rabinowitz, Frida Rosenthal, Edward Salem, Marion Zimmerman, and Nathan Zalkova. Are there any other names? Together, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbav, B'yamad yidrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon yomei chon, v'chaye gechol Beit Yisrael, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Le'omei Maya, Yitparach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitroman V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalach Shmei D'Kudshah B'richu, Le'elam Im Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbachata V'nechemata, Da'amiran Yama V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imnu amen. Oseh shalom b'momav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imnu. May God, who brings harmony to the heavens, bring peace to us, to all Israel and all humanity. Amen. Please have a seat.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us in person and online. We do have a fair bit of announcements today, so I've tried to make them exciting and as brief as possible. But join us next Friday, May 19th at 5:30 p.m. for our next Tat Shabbat. If you have little ones, get ready for Shavuot. We will travel to Shabbat in the wilderness of the Sinai with story, music, and craft. Bring your picnic blankets for a free pizza dinner after services. Please RSVP to the office so we know how much pizza to buy. Temple Kolami Sisterhood cordially invites everyone to join them next Saturday for Sisterhood Shabbat lunch and program. It starts the regular service time, 11 a.m. I can give a little plug. My daughter will be reading her Torah portion from her bat mitzvah, some others, so please come. The Sisterhood will be honoring their Sisterhood Award winner, which is Donna Weingarten. The program will feature Elaine Crane Rosker, author, social worker, and inspirational speaker. We do ask you RSVP to tkasisterhood@gmail.com by May 15th. If you're planning to attend the lunch and the program, you do not have to RSVP just for the service. Robert Denker's next adult education class on Zoom will take place Monday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. The topic for this month's class is Killers in Jewish History. Bum, bum, bum. RSVP the office to receive the Zoom link. Our annual congregational meeting will take place on Tuesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. We will be voting on our slate of officers and budget for next year. If you cannot make it, please send in your absentee. We will have our Shavuot Yisker service this year at Friday, May 26th at 10:15 a.m. Please be aware that our TK office will be closed for in observance of Memorial Day for Monday, May 29th. And the last but not least at all is save the date for the SOS Lighthouse. TKA members are working again with the South Oakland Shelter Lighthouse June 4th through the 11th to help the homeless by providing and serving meals for them in Pontiac where they are housed. Please watch your weekly emails for ways you can help or get in touch with either Lee Schottenfels or Rondi Brower. And I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Our closing song is going to be Ein Kelohenu on page 322. That's okay. I'm pretty sure. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadoshenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Koshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Koshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all.
Kiddush in the back. Kiddush.